I want to talk to you all for a few moments about cannabis being a gateway drug. I live in a state that ranks 50th in the nation. We rank number 46 in healthcare, 48 in education, 50 in crime, 49 in opportunity, and 50 overall. So no matter how bad you think somewhere in Nevada got it, we got it worse, okay? I was born and raised in North Baton Rouge, which is the black side of town. There was a train track we call Florida Boulevard, the Mason-Dixon line. And there is currently a man from North Louisiana named Kevin Allen. Grew up in the same type of community as me, but our outcomes are different. Kevin Allen is right now sitting in Angola Penitentiary. The irony that the jail in Louisiana that houses our most violent offenders is named Angola, after a city in Africa that now houses a bunch of black men and women. Kevin Allen is there for less than a dime bag of weed, and he has a life sentence. A life sentence. So when you see me smoke a blunt and kick facts, I'm kicking it for people like Kevin Allen, a man from Bozeman, Louisiana, who needs people in Nevada to give a damn that he is still sitting in a penitentiary. And you can go to the Last Prisoner Project and find out more information about how you can send emails, how you can be active, how people in Nevada can make a difference in Louisiana. And so it would be wrong of me to get up here and talk about all of the benefits of cannabis without telling you what suffering still exists in this country. And so when people ask me, why did you go with a cannabis ad at the beginning of your campaign for the U.S. Senate in Louisiana? Number one, the polls say 68% of Louisiana voters agree with legalization of recreational cannabis, okay? So the numbers, the data said it was okay. I did not talk to my team. There's about 3 or 4 people on our team that knew it. And what folks learn after they start working for me is, I'm gonna do what I want to do whether you want me to or not. And part of that is because I didn't get into politics to be a politician. Most of the people who came into my community with a suit and tie was lying. So I wear a suit and tie every day. I don't talk the way that your average politician talks, and I don't produce content to tell voters what our message is the way the average politician does so. Because I don't think that that's transformative, and I don't think it works. We have a Democrat as governor of the state of Louisiana right now. Most folks don't know that. When you watch Fox News, you would think that the guy running against Foghorn Leghorn, you would think that, really, have you listened to him talk? True story. In the end of his re-election video, I'm getting off task. In the end of his re-election, it's funny though. At the end of his re-election video, where he says he's running again, he says, "I'll never let you die. I'd rather drink weed killer." Just like that. Just like that. I don't know what it means, but I got a glass, okay? And the glass is filled with, I don't know that stuff they brought in the back room, the turpentine shot, right? It's filled with a little bit of that and a little bit of change and how we change policies in Louisiana. But the reason we put that ad out is because of people like Kevin Allen. But Kevin Allen is not the only person. And so when I came to California last May and went to a dispensary and, you know, had a normal shopping experience where the government was a business partner with the cannabis industry, even if the owner didn't know that the government was going to be his business partner because of how much money he was going to tax him. Y'all don't relate? Y'all don't relate? Okay. That's the gateway drug. The tax dollars. All these people who have been talking to us for years about cannabis being a gateway drug, it is a gateway to better schools. It is a gateway drug to better roads and bridges. It is a gateway drug for us to be able to have revenue to solve problems in our communities that have existed for decades. And you who are in this industry, are part of paving that pathway. But it can't just be good for you here in Vegas. It can't just be that people come from all over the country here, but then they are penalized when they go back home for the very product that they purchased legally here in these so-called United States of America. So-called. Because why is it that the penalties are different from place to place? And what we need at the federal level is a partner. That's what I intend to be. You're not going to like me every day. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I'm going to say something that's going to piss you off at some point. That's a part of the job, if you're going to tell people the truth. Am I right, Councilman? If you're going to tell people the truth, you're going to upset people sometimes. So I'm not going to get up here and tell you that you'll never watch TV and feel like, oh, I wish you didn't say that. Most politicians from Louisiana say something you wish they didn't say, okay? However, what you will get is somebody who is committed to truth and justice, and a partner that understands that if we legalize this and decriminalize in every aspect of this country, that we can have transformative revenue come into communities that allow us to make an impact through this industry. And so to tell me that you can go have a bourbon with a politician, but you can't smoke a blunt with one, makes no sense. And so I'm not really as concerned with people who get high. You smoke your blunt, you want to go sit down somewhere. You don't necessarily want to go get into a whole lot and do too much. And so what would it be for Louisiana, right? A state that has New Orleans. You know, most of y'all don't know about all the little towns and stuff that exist. You know about Bourbon Street and Mardi Gras, right? And much like Vegas that has its flavor and flair that draws thousands and millions of people every year, New Orleans does that for Louisiana. Now what would it be like if we could have conversations in our state about consumption lounges, right? Do you understand the magnitude of the conversations y'all are having in this room in comparison to people in other states? That this is not possible in any way? And be clear about this. Louisiana is the second blackest state in America. We are 34% black. The blackest state in America is Mississippi. It's 37% black. I like to kick numbers, and God will trust everybody else bring data. Okay? How did Georgia get a black senator? Any answers? It wasn't just Stacey Abrams. It was a lot of Stacey, okay? But it wasn't just Stacey Abrams. How did it happen? How did Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff end up there? Georgia is tied for Louisiana in demographics. So when you look at the potential for how you flip a state, the South is the pathway. If you are upset with your neighbor in Arizona, Cinema, or the one in West Virginia, Manchin, the only way that you give a checks or a balance to that is to increase the Democratic margins in the U.S. Senate. That's not just this race. That's paying attention to what's happening in Florida with Val Demings. It's paying attention to what's happening with Charles Booker in Kentucky. It's paying attention to what's happening with Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin, because these races are winnable. Now let me give you the numbers to give you a deeper understanding of why most of the states, now 30 plus states have legalized medical cannabis. Louisiana is even one of those states, okay? And I think we are close to recreational cannabis because a Republican is leading the charge right now. But how do we end up where you are? Smoking that blunt was less about a viral moment as much as it was the opportunity to get in this room with you and to get into every other room that I've walked into over the last month. Why? To tell you about a people that are thousands of miles away dealing with a struggle that isn't foreign to some of your family members in other places. That hadn't been foreign to some people that were in this room, from what I heard my sister say, with her 15 months on probation. Right? And somebody on my team here whose father is a state representative who dealt with the same thing, having to go and get drug tested 2 or 3 times a week. And the real deal is, all that is a money game. You know that, right? Yeah. Because every time you go in, you got to pay somebody for the drug test. You got to pay somebody for the fees. What's all the fees? Court costs, drug test costs, Then you got to get, if you're eligible for expungement, how much does that cost? And in Louisiana, we don't have just like a one department. You got to check off 3, 4 different things to get expunged, right? You have the ability to impact that. You have the ability, you know, we take trips all the time. How many people here like to go on vacation? What if you took 2 of your days on vacation to the South, where they don't have these luxuries, and sold some of your time? Hello, somebody. Y'all know something to me about that. That's what we need. We need a real movement in this country that creates change. I don't think that we recognize how bad things really are. Now, out here on the coast, you might feel a little normal, but people just stormed the Capitol last year. That's some strange shit. Even for America, okay? A U.S. senator just called for the head of state of another country to be killed. In these United States. Lindsey Graham did that. Like, what, yesterday? We are in wild times. And I think that sometimes we want to get disconnected from the reality of where we are. And the reality is, until we have justice and equity in every corner of this country, then it's a farce. And this joy that you have to earn a living doing something that people are being incarcerated from in Louisiana, it can't be comfortable. It can't be something that we just accept. And so I'm going to go all over this country and talk about healthcare access and talk about schools and education, but I'm going to talk about weed too. And I'm going to talk about the fact that people are still incarcerated in cages as human beings for a plan. And I know that's a little heavy, and I probably should have came here and talked about all the money y'all gonna make. But I'm gonna keep it real because I'm an advocate. I don't play one on TV. And if I get in a room with people of influence, I can't waste that opportunity. And I gotta tell you stuff that you don't know. Who did I tell you about first? Talk back to me. Kevin Allen. I mean, y'all weren't listening to me. Who said it? Who said it? You get, I got something for you. You get to smoke a blunt with me tonight. Do you smoke though? She might not even smoke while I said that. So, Kevin Allen. If you remember my name, I want you to remember his name. Because the reason I smoked the blunt wasn't for all of the attention that came. It was for people like Kevin Allen. And the fact that there's somebody sitting in a penitentiary right at this moment for the rest of his life, and we can do something about it. I'm going to apply a lot of pressure to help get Kevin out of jail. I'm going to apply pressure to our governor. I'm going to apply pressure to the district attorney in Bossier Parish. I spoke with Kevin last week. It was my first time hearing his story fully, and they got me an opportunity to speak with him. You can find the video on my page, but you can also go to the Last Prisoner Project on Instagram. And that's something that we collectively can do to help somebody else while you profit off of a plant that somebody else is incarcerated from. You can send an email, you can make a phone call, you can tell somebody else to do the same thing. And it's not gonna take that much. And the Last Prisoner Project, y'all know those good organizing groups? Like, they got the template for you already. You don't even have to do it. You don't have to type your own words, okay? So there's no excuse. Everybody got an email, right? The second part I told you is I'm from a state that's ranked 50th in the nation, okay? So no matter how bad you got it, it's what? Worse where I'm at. So don't just think about us from the perspective of the good time you get to have, but recognize when you come to have that good time, that there are communities all around that place that are suffering, and I'm running for them. I'm running to ensure that people like my 75-year-old mother who retired as a school teacher get to live in the same community that she paid off her house in, where grocery stores can be there and healthcare access can be there. And she doesn't have to wonder about if her community is going to be safe, because when she bought her house in 1990, it was a damn good neighborhood. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because we intentionally don't spend resources in divested communities. It's because we allow policies to be passed that are discriminatory. I burned the Confederate flag too, right? And I burned the Confederate flag because I live in a state where gerrymandering is still happening. I told you black people make up 34% of the state. We have one black member of Congress. We should have two. They just drew a map that made sure we only had one. I ran for Congress last year in that district, which included Baton Rouge and New Orleans, which is an hour and a half away from each other, which made two cities that have completely different makeups in how they do their business compete against each other for a representative. And we did hella good, right? We didn't win in part because the district is made up where somebody from New Orleans would win. But what happens to the people in Baton Rouge? And this isn't just a problem for Louisiana. It's the same problem in Alabama. It's the same problem in Mississippi. It's the same problem in Georgia. Georgia doesn't have equitable representation in Congress. And so yes, I burned the Confederate flag until we burn all the remnants of the Confederacy from the policies that exist in this country. And that has created issues in every corridor of this nation. Every corridor of this nation. How to make it make sense, right? Redlining. Decades ago, we know what redlining is, right? Redlining caused discrimination to exist in public policy that makes sure that people are still in poverty today because they didn't even have the ability to pass down homes, right? The GI Bill that gave people resources to buy a home and pass their home down to their loved ones, that same opportunity wasn't given to other people. And every Jim Crow law that was put in place that still has a soft, they just don't put Negro on it, right? They just don't put that in the language anymore. But it's very clear that there are policies in place, maybe not as much here, but to make sure that the people in my community who think like you, that their voices are diluted. And how do we make real change happen? There's only 4 million people in Louisiana, okay? That's Houston. Houston's like 3.9 million people, right? That's Louisiana. So to Jamie Harrison and the DNC and all the folks that are important, if you can't flip a state of 4 million people, you need to hang up the tent and go home. 4 million people, okay? You have the ability in your network to help us make it, and guess what? We don't even need all 4 million of them. We really just need about 800,000 of them, because all of them don't go vote. John Kennedy was elected with 536,000 votes, okay? And U.S. Senator was elected with 536,000 votes. There are 900,000 black voters in the state of Louisiana. Did you hear what I just said? That's greater than, you know the little sign? Right? There are actually 1.2 million eligible black voters in the state of Louisiana. Okay? There's also another 5% of brown people in the state of Louisiana. And then there are 15 to 20% of white people who think the exact same way we think. So the math makes sense. Let me give you another example. There was a sister named Gwen Collins Greenup who ran for Secretary of State of Louisiana in 2019. She got 41% of the vote. She had $9,000. You know what I said? She won 41% of the vote, and she had $9,000. In the same year, John Bell Edwards got reelected the governor of Louisiana as a Democrat because he had $10 million. You see the difference? Sister had $9,000. Her floor was 41% with no money. John Bell has $10 million, he gets 52% of the vote, he's the governor of Louisiana. It's not a matter of he's more conservative, he had money. And so I'm gonna dart all over the country in the first quarter and the second quarter of this year. Now y'all ain't gonna be able to find me at the end, I'm gonna be at home. I gotta knock doors, I gotta talk to the people at home. But in the first part of this year, we're gonna go everywhere we can, and I need you to call people in other places, in other cities, and tell them you need to bring these folks, and he's gonna talk crazy, and he's gonna talk about gateway drugs, and people gonna quote him. But what you'll also find out about me is without a position or a title, I helped get an emergency room open in North Baton Rouge. That most people saw me go viral roasting Connie at the school board. I didn't just check Connie that night. We changed the name of that school because my daughter is in public schools in Baton Rouge, and I didn't want her to graduate from a high school named after a bigot. So we changed it. And so without a position or without a title, we get stuff done. And so I'm not going to be the most polished person when I go to the U.S. Senate, but I am going to fight for what's right. And I am going to stand up for the things that I believe in. And I philosophically believe that we need more regular people to represent us because they understand our situations, they understand where we come from. I'm going to be honest with you, I have seen grandmothers with no money do far better than U.S. senators with holding down the budget, okay? I'm telling you, a broke grandma is way better than any of these people down there. They turn water into wine, okay? You're trying to figure out how kids got through college and grandma didn't have no money. I found out my grandmother died, and I'll end with this, on January 6, 2001, the day of the insurrection. My grandmother had good sense. She said, I'm getting out of here. This tricky down here, I'm gone, okay? But I found out that my grandmother, who had worked all her life, got a check from the government for $900 a month. And that's how she paid her bills. I had no clue until she died. I would have done so much more. And it really made me understand that there are people in this country who are struggling to make ends meet. Gas is high as hell, okay? When gas $4 in Louisiana, it's a problem. We make the gas, okay? It's $4.19 in Louisiana. I came here, it was $5 today. How does a grandmother with a $900 check do gas? And most of us don't even know that people live off those means every day and figure out how to make it in this country. In the richest country on earth. We can see all these beautiful buildings outside. I came here on a plane today knowing my grandmother made the amount of money that my plane ticket cost. That people live in that condition in this country, and you can do something to help. What you can do is put your money where your mouth is, not just in my race, but in races all over this country to ensure that we get better leaders, to make sure that Medicaid and all of the things that help these people is expanded to the degree that people can live a respectable life. All people want is dignity. That's all they want. The ability to live a life in dignity and respect. And we can give them that in this country. I thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to talk about it.